Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If I'm correct, this video should be going up the last week in September, which is crazy to think about. I can't believe it's already October, right around the corner. I'm in the mood to read some spooky books. Well, spooky maybe isn't the right word, but I'm ready to read some thrilling reads, if you will, rather than the cozy stuff that I've been reading for most of September. So this video is going to be about some thrillers. Both of the ones I'm reading physically are 2024 releases, which is awesome. And I believe the audiobook I'm going to be listening to in this video is a 2023 release, so all within a year old. Let's go ahead and jump into the TBR and then we can get started. So the first thing I have is Like Mother Like Daughter by Kimberly McCreight, which just came out in August. So this is like fresh off the press. This book is following a mother and a daughter, obviously, and they maybe have a bit of a rocky relationship, but overall I think they still hold a lot of love for each other. And one day the daughter shows up at her mom's house for dinner and her mom is missing. There's evidence of a struggle, evidence of a crime scene, and the daughter's gonna try to figure out what happened to her mom. At the same time, I think this is told in dual perspectives, so we're also getting flashbacks like from the mom before the event of the disappearing. And I'm sure in traditional Kimberly McCreight fashion, we will have some sort of legal aspect in here, whether the mom works at a law firm, the daughter works at a law firm, there's something legal going on. Kimberly McCreight loves to throw any kind of legal thing into her thrillers, so that's the first physical book I'll be reading. And then I also have The Return of Ellie Black, which is super popular and very highly rated. I don't know a ton about this, other than that a girl comes back. She's been missing for like a couple years at the point that she shows back up, and we're following a detective, which makes me a little bit nervous because I don't traditionally love detective novels, but this is so highly praised that I feel like this could work for me, and maybe it does something really special. And then again, I think we're kind of in a dual perspective situation where we're getting perspectives from Ellie and the detective, whose name I'm not sure of, as she investigates what's going on. And then I also am going to be reading There Should Have Been 8, which has been on my Libby hold shelf for literally almost a year. And I feel like I haven't heard anyone talk about this book, so I'm not sure why the wait for it was so long. As far as I know, we have a locked room mystery, high school friends reuniting in their 20s at a rural manor somewhere in New Zealand. I think there's a storm that's going to trap them in. Everyone's hiding something. Secrets are going to come out. There's going to be a murder, maybe, and a lot of this book is based on the fact that these friends haven't seen each other in a while, but one of their like integral friends in the group has since died, and their sister, who's also in the friend group, is like behaving kind of suspiciously about it. So like maybe we think she had something to do with that. I'm not really sure. It seems like there's gonna be a lot going on. Sounds like a good fun time to me. Let's go ahead and get started with the video. Hello, good morning. I am 60-ish% of the way through There Should Have Been 8. And you know, so far it's fine. I'm not blown away. It's a pretty typical locked room mystery. Our main character, Luna, is dealing with going blind. So I'm not sure what that condition is called, but it's like a genetic condition. It causes you to like progressively lose your eyesight more and more over time. In a pretty rapid sense. So I think she's in her late 20s maybe. Normally this condition takes place when you're still a child, from my understanding. So she's kind of dealing with the anxiety of that in addition to the anxiety of trying to figure out what's going on at this manor. I am having a bit of trouble distinguishing between the different characters, but I think I've sort of got it figured out now. Although I will say I had to re-listen to the first like 3 or 4 chapters like 3 separate times when I started this on my walk yesterday with Quinn, because I just could not figure out who everyone was. So the character voices have become more distinct as we've gone on, but that's something that I don't love, being thrown into a book and being introduced to, you know, 8, 9, 10 different characters in the first like 20 pages, and then just kind of being expected to know who they are. So I don't love that, but I think that Luna's looming blindness is adding a really fun detail to the story. I just realized you're kind of falling down. Let me adjust you a touch. Also, being set in New Zealand, I honestly don't think I've ever read a book set in New Zealand before, and so they are kind of on this like rocky bluff that overlooks the ocean, or maybe it doesn't overlook the ocean, but they're on a like cliffside kind of, like they're way up in the mountains, no service. They're having some pretty bad weather. The service isn't great to begin with. And then now things are going wrong and their road is blocked because it snowed. They can't get out and something is definitely up. They're all suspicious of each other. And at this point that I'm at in the book right now, they are all kind of suspicious that someone else is in the house. It's super old, sprawling estate, lots of secret passageways. Like there could definitely be the possibility that someone else is in the house. I think I've got it figured out. I think from fairly early on, I had it figured out. Obviously, the pitch of the book is that these friends are reuniting after several years apart. Their friend B, who is Darcy, who like owns the estate, B is her younger sister, and they haven't really been hanging out much. A lot of them are married off to other people that they grew up with in the friend group or people outside of their initial circle, whatever. So some of them have brought their now spouses, used to be friends, and so they're all kind of reuniting. Luna hasn't told anyone that she's going blind, but it's definitely tough for her. She can't see at night at all anymore. And because the power's like flicking on and off because of the storms, like it's creating this whole other dimension for Luna. She's a photographer. And so she's like the observer of the group kind of. And so she is trying to put the pieces together in her own sense while everyone else is just like frantically panicking. At the point I'm at, I wanted to stop here because we've just had our first death. So one of the people in the friend group has died rather suspiciously. They're not sure he was actually murdered. They just think like maybe he fell down the stairs, but Luna knows better. So kind of like lots of things going on. I'm loving the atmosphere of the estate. Like I think that that's being done really fun, but overall not doing anything astounding. I would love to be surprised by this ideally, but I do think like from a very early on point, I kind of figured out what's going on. But again, I would love to be wrong. I'd love to be shocked. So I just wanted to check in. Right now it's giving like 3-star energy. You know what I mean? I've been up since really early this morning at work, and I was actually at work by myself today. Usually on the weekends, there's 2 of us there if we get a call. So today, one of my bosses went with me on the call, but then after we got back to the funeral home, he wanted to go to church, and I was like, it's fine, like I got it. But I ended up being there for actually like 2.5 hours because there was just a lot to get done this morning outside of the nice elderly woman that we went and picked up this morning. So there's lots of like paperwork and other things that I needed to do. And so I've been at work for a long time. I came home, I showered. It's just turned 10 o'clock in the morning. So I had a really early start to my day. I think I'm gonna take a nap. And then the goal is essentially to stay home today. Again, if someone else dies, unfortunately, I will have to leave, but as long as that doesn't happen, my goal is to not leave my house today, stay at home, have a restful, cozy afternoon, and finish the book. So I'll check in with you when that's done. You know what? I don't love the lighting right here, but I already set up to film here, so we're just gonna roll with it. I've had a productive afternoon. I finished the book. I got some stuff done around the house. I did like a deep clean on my bathroom today, and like that part sucked, but like the aftermath when you do like a deep clean in your bathroom is just so good. Like it's just sparkling in there, so shiny. I even like cleaned my shower with like my Swiffer. So it's like I went hard, and I'm proud of myself for doing that. And I also have decided to be an adult and get rid of this blanket yarn. I have, I think, 6 skeins of this, 5, 6, 5.5. I'm not really sure. I bought this yarn when I first got into crochet, and I was like obsessed with making blankets because they're quick, they're easy. You don't have to know a bunch of complicated stitches to like work one up really quickly and for it to look good. So I bought a whole bunch of different kinds of blanket yarn, and this is so ugly. Like honestly, I'm never gonna use these. So I had like worked up like half of a blanket, and it's just been like bulkily floating around my home, taking up so much space. So I finally decided to be a grown-up today and solve the issue. So I frogged the whole project and wound it, and I'm gonna donate it to Goodwill at some point this week, probably, hopefully sooner rather than later, because I really just need that extra space. And now that it's like out of the spot that it was in the closet, I'm like, wow, I have so much room in here to like put actual clothes that belong in the closet. So anyway, it's been a productive day thus far. I did finish the audiobook whilst doing all of these things this afternoon. afternoon, and I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I was right about the twist, more or less. And also, I'm gonna be honest, like, I didn't really understand, without spoilers, I didn't really understand why the guy that died, and I also didn't really understand, like, there's some people that, like, get drugged or get hurt towards the end of the book, and I didn't really understand why the person responsible was doing that, because they were, like, outside of the reason that all of this was happening. So I was just a touch confused. I didn't really understand the purpose, other than that the author wanted to make it thrilling and make everyone a suspect, I guess. I don't really know. The ending resolved pretty much the way that I thought. There was no extra, like, fun twist or anything to be surprised by. We love some morally gray characters, but, like, overall, just nothing to write home about. So maybe it's even more like a 2.5 star, but I'm feeling nice today, so I gave it a 3. Maybe it's just because I'm, like, living off the high of having a nice clean home. I'm not really sure. Who would I recommend this book to? People that like a locked room mystery. I think you could get into this. Like, locked rooms aren't really my favorite thing ever. I like to pick them up every now and then, but even the classics, like And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, like, I didn't like that book, and a lot of times a locked room mystery is not awesome. I will say An Unwanted Guest by Sherry Lapina is probably my favorite, like, spooky house locked room mystery situation. So I would definitely recommend that one. That one's more of a winter vibe than a fall vibe, but it's, like, perfect to pick up on a winter afternoon when, like, there's snow everywhere and you just want to cozy up. Like, I would recommend that for that time. So check out An Unwanted Guest. I definitely recommend that one over this one. And then I haven't read One by One by Ruth Ware, but I know a lot of people love that one as a locked room mystery as well. So I think both of those are perhaps better choices. Lucy Foley writes great locked room mysteries. The Hunting Party has a similar setting. Friends, old friends, secrets, cabin in the woods, people dying maybe, as this book does. And I also really enjoyed The Hunting Party, so would recommend that as well. And now we're going to move on to Like Mother, Like Daughter by Kimberly McCreight, because I think that's what I'm in the mood for at the moment. Gigi says hello. I was going to pick her up, but she walked away from me. She's coming back. So Gigi says hi. I don't think I have any other news to share with you at the moment. I'll check in with you when I have an update on Like Mother, Like Daughter. I'll see you then. Hey friends, time for an update on Like Mother, Like Daughter. I do want to backtrack before we get into this for just a second and say that Kimberly McCreight writes these really amazing legal thrillers mixed with a kind of domestic atmosphere. So I always recommend A Good Marriage if people are looking to get into legal thrillers, but maybe you don't want to fully dive in with that intense terminology and like full-on courtroom settings and whatnot. Oftentimes she has like a mixed media format format. We get legal transcripts and a look into a lawsuit or a settlement or something suspicious happening in the legal world. And this book was wonderful, but very long. So I had high hopes for this one, and so far she is absolutely delivering. I think this one is following that same traction and might even overtake the spot of A Good Marriage in a like entry-level legal thriller that I would recommend, because this one is shorter than A Good Marriage. A Good Marriage, I think, is almost 500 pages, and this one is 302 pages. So this one is doing a lot of the same things that I absolutely loved from the first book that I read from her. We are getting several types of mixed media in here, but not an overwhelming amount. We are primarily reading from Kat, who is the mom, and Cleo, who is the daughter. The main plotline running through here is that Kat has gone missing, and Cleo's kind of trying to figure out what went on with her, where she is, if someone took her, etc. Cleo and Kat have had kind of a tumultuous relationship, and between the two of them, there's also a lot of sketchy stuff going on. Cleo's mom is kind of separated from her dad, but she didn't really know about that because they were kind of keeping it from her. But everything sort of comes to light when her mom goes missing and she calls her dad and it's like, mom's gone. And then she's starting to learn a lot about her mother's past as well. And maybe she is evaluating her relationship with her mom, which is a really important aspect in the story and something that I'm really enjoying, because I feel like we're going really under surface level to look at the relationship between the two of them and the guilt that both of them sort of harbor about the way that they've treated each other, but also I think portraying a fairly realistic portrait of teenage girls and their mother. At this point, Cleo is in her 20s, she's in college, but she's reflecting a lot on the way that she's been treating her mom in her past, and maybe similarly, Kat is reflecting on the way that she has maybe mishandled situations with Cleo. So we're getting perspectives from Kat before the disappearance and perspectives from Cleo after the disappearance. Did you see me just hit myself in the head with this book? As far as mixed media formats go, we are getting Cleo's kind of therapy transcripts. We are getting different documentation regarding a class action lawsuit that it looks like Kat was working on. Kat isn't a lawyer per se, but she is someone who works for a law firm, and her position is kind of to make problems go away. And then Kat also has a very dark past. I think I already said that. And so Cleo has found her journal in going through her mom's things after she's gone missing to see if she can figure out maybe where her mom went. She finds her childhood journal, and so she's learning a lot about what has gone on with her mom in her past and maybe how she has misperceived her mom quite a bit in her life up to this point. So this is doing a lot of great things, and one of my favorite things about this is that there's like a couple different mysteries going on. There's lots of people who could be suspects, and it's to the point where I don't really want to form a theory. I just want to be surprised, and I think there's going to be multiple twists. I'm really excited to see how everything ties together, and I'm just really, really enjoying this right now. Like, honestly, I don't have a single flaw to complain about thus far. I will say I am going back to teaching tomorrow, which means I'm going to be working my regular full-time job at the mortuary, and then I'm also going to be adding in 10 extra hours a week of teaching classes. So it's gonna get busy in my life again, and I'm not sure how many reading vlogs I'm actually going to be able to churn out. So we might be seeing a bit of a shift on my channel to a lot more sit-down videos for the next couple of months at least, until Christmas time, when I do get some time off of work again and can kind of have free time to pursue greater creative projects. So I just want everyone to be prepared for that, because I'm going to try to do a lot of like recommendations videos or list videos, you know, things along those lines that I can sort of film and get done in one day, because I'm not sure how many books I'm actually going to be able to read a week. I definitely prefer to do vlogs where I read at least 2 physical books, and at this point in the year, I think I'm gonna have to switch over to mostly consuming books on audio, because I can do that while I'm driving to work. I can do that while I'm doing other things around my house. So just a little notice to be prepared for that in the future. I'm definitely gonna try my best to read 2 physical books this week. So I'm really trying to focus on this and just read it as fast as I possibly can today, while still really enjoying it, obviously, so that I make sure to get 2 physical books in this video. But going forward, I'm not sure that we're gonna see kind of the established content that I usually do on my channel, so I just wanted to let you know. I'm gonna try to finish this tonight or tomorrow, and I will update you. Although tomorrow I will be working until 8:30 tomorrow night, so it's gonna be dark when I get home. I don't know if I'm gonna feel like talking or if I'm just gonna want to go to bed. Like, it's gonna be a long day. Mondays are quickly going to become my longest work day of the week, and that's okay, but I'm just a little stressed out going forward. So I'll also update you on work and life when I can. But like, it's not going to be super exciting things. I'm not going to be doing a ton of fun, cutesy stuff because I'm just going to be so gosh dang busy. Hi friends, I did finish Like Mother Like Daughter last night, so I thought we could do a quick update on that. I think I am still going to recommend A Good Marriage over this one just because I thought that the plot twist in this one was a little bit better done. But regardless, I still had a wonderful time reading this. I really, really enjoyed it. The writing was great, pacing was great, twists were great, even though the big twist was a little bit predictable. In my opinion, it was super predictable. For someone who's newer to reading thrillers, it probably wouldn't get you. I think it just kind of comes with the territory. The more that you read thrillers, the harder it is to impress you with a twist, right? So the big twist at the end of this didn't surprise me, but the little ones did. The little ones got me. So I'm giving this 4 stars. I know I talked about it a little bit already, but this goes into a really great examination of the mother-daughter relationship and the conflicting emotions and the complex emotions that you can feel towards one another from both ends. I think that just in general, this provided a really important criticism on that or conversation about that. Even if you don't love thrillers, I think that this could still be a good gateway in for you just because it had that really interesting literary complex dynamic of a parent relationship with their child. I think one of my bigger issues with Kimberly McCreight books, and I don't really have any big issues, so maybe that isn't the right term to use, but one thing that I always wish was done a little bit better was maybe the amount of mixed media that was included in her books. This one left me lacking a little bit. I think that this one struck a really great balance between mixed media elements and the heart of the story, the regular chapters that we were getting. So I'm really glad to see that she has progressed and kind of decided to use more of that because I thought that it was done really, really well in here. So again, great option for an intro to legal thrillers, great option for an intro to mixed media as far as thrillers go. So overall, I really, really loved this. And I'm so glad that I read it in such a timely fashion. I feel like sometimes I get thrillers and then they end up sitting on my shelf for like 2 years. This just came out last month. So I'm really proud of my like turnaround time. I'm excited to be giving this the hype that it deserves in the relevant time from when it was published. So overall, great pick in my opinion. I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the return of Ellie Black now, and I will update you guys when I'm a little bit of the way into that. It is Friday today, and so I also wanted to sort of just give a little recap of my work week. I went back to teaching this week, which I just told you in the last clip, so I'm sure you didn't forget. It went really, really well. I had so much fun in all of my classes this week. Honestly, I think it's gonna be a great year as far as classes go. Last night was a late night for me. I taught 4 classes in a row, so I didn't get home till 9 o'clock. So that was a bit for me. That was a bit of a stretch, but overall I think everything went really well as far as that goes. And yeah, I'm just having a good fun time. So I'm gonna start the return of Ellie Black. So I honestly didn't want to stop reading this to talk to you, but I had to stop reading this to talk to you because otherwise the video wouldn't make sense. I'm going to try to make this fast and I'm going to try to talk fast because I'm really enjoying this and I want to go sit down and finish it right now. This is really exceeding my expectations, and honestly, something that happens fairly early on in the book I think is going to be a spoiler, so it might be a little bit confusing, but I'll try to make things make sense. We're kind of following 2 perspectives. So we're following Chelsea's perspective as she's investigating the case, but then we also get Ellie's perspective while she's kind of recounting back to us and telling us her story of what happened to her, where she went, what was done to her, I guess, whatever. And it definitely went in a direction that I wasn't really expecting when I went in. Sorry, we're waiting for the plane because it's really loud. I hate living next to the airport. Because it introduces that major plot point fairly early on, I've kind of had a good amount of time to sit with it and adjust to that idea. But yeah, definitely got into kind of the meat of the story before I was prepared. I don't necessarily know that this is a huge thriller. I would almost say that this is more of a mystery because, again, from page like 50, we know, maybe more like page 100, but we know where Ellie was. So I guess the only thing we're trying to figure out is like who. But we know who from Ellie's point of view, but we need to figure out who in the larger context of things rather than just like knowing through Ellie's eyes who took her, if that makes sense. At page 200, which is where I'm at right now, Ellie has started acting kind of weird, and I kind of think I know what's going on, but I'm not 100% sure. She's definitely hiding something. But I don't think it's in the sense that she's like involved somehow in this whole thing, although maybe. At the same time, in Chelsea's kind of storyline, Chelsea's point of view, whatever, we are really diving into women in the police force and like the issues that they might have being surrounded by men, maybe not being taken as seriously, maybe not being relied upon. And then Chelsea is also Japanese, so that's playing a big role of the discussion of what's going on in this book. And I really appreciate when thriller authors take a chance to step into something bigger than just the like whodunit of the story and have important societal conversations like this author is doing for us right now. And we don't really understand the full details yet, but we are getting Chelsea's kind of memories about her sister who died when she was very young, and how that's kind of motivated her to do her job, maybe not always in the healthiest way. So lots of different things being touched on in here. The writing is actually very beautiful in here. And like I said, I'm really appreciating the larger themes that we're grasping at here besides just figuring out who did it, what the plot twist is, whatever. So overall, I'm having a really, really good time. I don't think that this is quite sitting at a 5-star right now. I'm not like blown away, but it's definitely at a 4-star. And I mean, the last 100 pages could push it to a 5-star. We'll just have to see what happens. But yeah, I didn't want to stop reading to update you. So I kind of had to force myself to stop for a second, pull away, and come over here and talk to you. So I'm gonna go sit on my couch, finish reading this right now, and I'll check in with you this afternoon. Okay, time to wrap this video up. I just finished this and I'm gonna give it 4.5 stars. I hate to be picky like that, but it's the truth. This wasn't a perfect book, but the ending really surprised me. I didn't see that coming. I didn't really have any like suspects, if you will. And yes, it was a little bit far-fetched. Yes, it felt like kind of an over-the-top ending, perhaps. And that's why it's not getting the full 5 stars from me, because I feel like this book is really grounded in reality for the first 3/4, 2/3, whatever. But those last 50, 75 pages or so really got a little bit crazy, a little bit dramatic. And I felt like it just didn't really fit with the vibe that we had set up throughout the rest of the book, if that makes sense. I'm not disappointed by any means. Like, I love to be surprised at the end. We just had this conversation when we talked about the ending of like Mother Like Daughter. But I also like consistency in a book. So if we were gonna go really crazy, over the top, far-fetched, I thought that maybe we should have had a similar train of thought, a similar high stakes crazy vibe throughout the whole book rather than just at the very end. I thought that the themes were rounded out really nicely in here. And I know I just said this, but I thought that the discussions in here were really important, and I love when a thriller expands on important conversations, especially about women in primarily male-dominated industries. I loved Chelsea as our detective character, and a lot of times I do have an issue with stories that are told by a detective. I will say, if you have an issue with first-person thrillers or third-person thrillers, this might not be for you, because Chelsea's chapters are told in third person, but Ellie's chapters are told in first person. And I really enjoyed that, but I know that it's maybe not going to be for everyone, so I just thought that that was kind of an important thing to point out. I do have to say, I was just looking at my list of 2024 releases that I have on my shelves that I haven't read yet, and I actually only have 4. So I've been doing a really good job of doing 2024 releases, and this video, obviously, I was able to knock 2 more off of my shelves as well, so I'm proud of myself on that front. Not that I've really been buying a ton of new books this year anyway, but those new ones that I have been getting, it seems like I've been reading quickly, so that's a fun little stat about my reading that probably no one cares about except for me. Overall, I would say a really successful video, because both of the books that I read physically were above a 4-star. Well, at or above a 4-star. But I feel like, especially in these videos where I read thrillers, that rarely, if ever, happens. So definitely glad to have checked that off my list. I'd highly recommend this if you're looking for a thriller you can knock out in one day. I read like 30 pages of this last night, but then the rest of it I read today. And again, it's only 300 pages, so it's not like it's a super dense, crazy thriller in the first place, but definitely pick this up if you're looking for something entertaining, quick to get through, goes into a little bit of deeper discussion. Like, this just really checked all of my boxes. So that wraps up this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week with a new one.